Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks host the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Tonight at 7 p.m., it's soccer night, and kids glow around the bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway night with postgame fireworks and Broadway rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day, and the kids run around the bases.
A great day out for the entire family. Kids run the bases after every Sunday home game. Want the best seats all season? Get more Ferry Hawks for only $63. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Well, what is the final numbers on the state budget in Albany? Well, with us today is Senator George Borrello. And Senator, I talked to you the other day, and you were very much concerned that there was some last-minute things that just got rammed through and that people should know about them. Can you fill in everybody in New York State?
Well, yeah. First of all, thank you, John, for having me back on. And, there's no doubt in my mind that people in New York are not served by the fact that in the last 5 days of session, we rammed through more than 600 pieces of legislation, more than 100 bills a day. Most of those bills were dropped overnight, midnight or later, and then we were voting on them hours later the next day. No time for us as legislators to review and properly do our due diligence for the people that we represent, but certainly no time for the people of New York State to know what's in these bills. And this is off of just spending 2 extra months. Our budget was 2 months late, $268.5 billion with a B, and yet New Yorkers aren't being served anything to make life more affordable here. So right after that budget debacle and the final adopted budget, the following week we had a race to the finish line for the end of the New York State session. And in that were some very damaging things. In the last day of session, in the middle of the night, we debated a bill that would essentially restore partisan gerrymandering in New York State. New Yorkers spoke through a constitutional amendment twice, not once, but twice, saying they wanted to eliminate partisan gerrymandering and create an independent redistricting commission. And the Democrats in charge and the governor introduced a bill to change the Constitution again to allow them to change these districts at will, literally every 2 years if they want. This will have to be passed again in the next year in a new session and then put on a ballot referendum. So I hope the people of New York State will reject this. But these are the kind of things that happen in the waning days when they know people aren't going to have time.
And the governor signed that?
She hasn't signed it yet, but we're told that she's going to do that. And the excuse was that they have to enter this national fight on redistricting because of other states. Well, first and foremost, our obligation is to the people of New York State, not to enter some national fight that they're talking about. But secondly, the first time this happened was back in 2022 during the Biden administration, and they tried the same thing. So that's just an excuse to push forward this corrupt agenda. They even passed a bill that would take away the ability for the language on that ballot away from the Board of Elections, the bipartisan Board of Elections committee, and then put it into the hands of the majority, of the Democrats in charge, so that they can craft the wording so as to be deceptive, to deceive the people of New York State and make the language on the actual ballot initiative that you're voting on fit their agenda. So it's really egregious. And again, if you can't win by supporting the policies and putting forth policies that make New York State better, more affordable, and safer, then their MO is to ensure that they have rigged the system in their favor to stay in power. And that was what the end of session was really all about.
Wow, that's all I can say is wow. And I hope that the governor doesn't sign it. And the fact is, you can't have those kind of bills going through every year.
Exactly. Absolutely. And look, when you're standing there looking at a calendar that has 106 bills on it, for example, in one day, and then a few hours later, another calendar of bills is dropped onto us with another 100 bills. There were in one day we had to vote on and debate 200 bills. How is that possible? This is why I voted no on the budget for the same reason. You have 10 budget bills that dropped tens of thousands of pages of budget. And how are we supposed to know every single word and the impact of every single line item in that budget in a matter of hours before voting on it? This is just it's corrupt. It is non-transparent, and the people of New York State should be outraged by the process. And look at the results. I mean, New York spends more than any other state per capita. If spending more money made New York more affordable and better, we should be the best, most affordable state in the nation. But we're not. People continue to leave this state in droves, and we lose businesses and families and productive people every single day in this state. And it's because of the bad policies out of Albany. So passing things in the middle of the night isn't making things better. It's making it actually far worse.
Well, you're 110% right. Anything else you want to tell the American people, all New Yorkers on a Sunday morning?
Well, I will say that we did have some wins, John, and in this session here because of our advocacy. We have a delay now in the electric school bus mandate, which you and I have talked about. There have been some delays in the damaging radical climate agenda. Again, it's an election year for the governor and for everyone in the legislature, so these might just be election year tricks. But we're going to continue to push back and fight on behalf of New Yorkers. So we will continue to do that, and it's an election year, John, so it's time for folks to vote for change and restore balance, and we need better, more responsible, common-sense leadership in Albany.
Senator George Borrello, thank you for filling us in on a Sunday morning, and we'll catch up with you again real soon.
Thank you as well.